we could expect maybe one more little push to the upside, like what we saw back then once again, before some more bearish price action. And that one little push to the upside could potentially be up towards around 49 to 49,500, which is exactly where that golden pocket is. So essentially in the immediate short term, I actually don't expect too much for the Bitcoin price. Mostly sideways consolidation with perhaps one more push to the upside before more of a pullback. And so after we finish that pump to the upside and we started this consolidation area, the Bitcoin price entered a bit more of a bearish time over the next 6 days, approximately, nearly the next 1 week pretty much. And in terms of the bearish price action to the downside, it was only about 5% if you're looking from back there. If you're looking from the complete top at that time down to the bottom, then that was around an 8% decline in the market. So I'm sure you can now see a lot of different similarities between right now and just a month ago here. So what does this actually mean for the Bitcoin price right now? Well, it means that we are at risk for potentially some bearish price action just in the short term. And as for potential price targets to the downside, first of all, measuring out what happened last time, once again, that was around an 8% move to the downside, around 8.5% to the downside, looking from this recent top just here at around 48.8K approximately, and measuring around 8 to 8.5% to the downside, that would be around 45K down towards around 44,500. So that little range just there, once again, is a potential price target if this simply continues to play out like what we saw last time once again. Welcome back to the Crypto World channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now the Bitcoin price is currently sitting at around 45,000 US dollars approximately at the time of filming this video, which is of course what we've been expecting for quite a few days now. And now that all of this has already played out on the chart, what can we expect for Bitcoin now? Where are my next price targets? Well, I'll be letting you guys know all of that and more in just a moment in this video. So definitely make sure you're watching this video all the way to the end so that you're not missing out on all of this valuable information. And just before we jump into it, make sure to drop a like on the video down below. And if you're new to the channel, you might as well subscribe to this channel with notifications turned on for more updates just like this. Obviously, it only takes a couple seconds out of your day to click like and subscribe down below, and it costs you nothing to subscribe to this channel. And once again, you're going to be getting all of this valuable content every day. But anyway, with all of that out of the way, let's get straight to what this video is about. So right here, we're on the Bitcoin US dollar chart on the 4-hour time frame. And yeah, just quickly recapping my last few Bitcoin update videos. Of course, around a week ago, we were breaking out here out of that falling wedge pattern. We broke just above the technical price target, flipped it into support in the short term. And of course, that led into the prediction that I've been telling you guys over and over pretty much every day for the last 4 to 5 days, where I basically mentioned that we're going to enter a small consolidation, one more push to the upside, and then the bearish price action will begin. And so how could I tell that this was a likely scenario for Bitcoin? Well, simply because we saw the exact same thing just 1 month ago. As you can see, this is nothing new for the subscribers out there. Once again, I've been repeating this for quite some time now on the channel, but from that top that we saw around a month ago back here, from that top down to the bottom, that was around an 8.5% move to the downside. And right now from this recent top at around 48.8K down towards the recent bottom at around 44,500, that was around an 8.5% move to the downside. And so as expected, we've actually found some support along 44.5 to 45,000 US dollars just here. That's where a bit of buying pressure has come into the market. And at that same time, we've reached the bottom of the RSI band on the 4-hour chart just here. So we very briefly entered oversold areas just in the short term. But keep in mind that the MACD is still showing us that we have bearish momentum. So this may not be the bottom just yet. Obviously, it's very hard to tell. So what we need to be paying attention to now is some very important areas of support, because if the price holds above those levels, we're still looking all right. But if the price breaks below these next areas of support that I will tell you guys about, then that is when the price is flipping very bearish for at least the next few weeks. And speaking about those areas of support that I am paying strong attention to right now, well, first of all, if we're extending this previous line of resistance for this falling wedge pattern out a little bit longer, as you can see, we've pretty much seen almost a perfect bounce along this level at around 44,500 US dollars approximately. But that is not our most important support level. Our most important level that we need to hold above is simply these previous lows just here. So the bottom of this low just here is coming in at around 43.4K, around 43,500 US dollars is where we need to hold above in order to remain, pretty good here in the short term. If we start breaking below around 43,000 US dollars, which obviously will be forming a brand new lower low on the chart, that will obviously be a very bearish sign on the chart if that actually happens. So it is important that we remain above that low, because if the price of Bitcoin cannot hold above these previous lows here, if we start actually breaking lower, then we will potentially be playing out this huge rising wedge pattern on the daily time frame. Now, obviously, for the longer term subscribers subscribers out there, I explained this on the chart many times before, not so much recently over the last few days, but if you're on the channel throughout this entire time period just here, pretty much in the second half of August leading into the beginning of September, I was letting you guys know day in and day out about this pattern just here and the strong similarities between just back here, the beginning of this year. Basically, what I was saying in those older Bitcoin videos when we were actually forming this pattern here is obviously we've got a lot of similarities between the current price action and where we were between around January 2021 all the way up towards around May 2021. As you can see, we were clearly forming a massive rising wedge pattern with 3 distinct higher highs. And right here in this rising wedge pattern that we formed just recently over the last 1 to 2 months, we've clearly formed the same pattern with 3 distinct higher highs in the chart. And even looking at the price action leading into that rising wedge pattern, we actually had an initial pump to the upside to around the middle of that rising wedge pattern, and then we topped out, came back down, and that formed the base of the rising wedge, just like what we saw here. As you can see, we had a pump to the upside, topped out in around the middle of the rising wedge, came back down, and that formed the base of the rising wedge. And for the beginners out there that don't already know, a rising wedge pattern is technically speaking a bearish pattern. And so if we see a break to the downside, the technical price target is actually the bottom of the wedge. And we actually hit that exact price target earlier in the year, as you can see. So where we are right now, we are potentially right here, as you can see. So if the price actually breaks these previous lows just here, exactly like what we saw last time during May this year, then the technical price target for this rising wedge pattern is simply the bottom of the wedge, which is this low right here, coming in at around 38,000 approximately. So obviously for anyone wanting to trade this, that would be a nice short position. If we come down towards that price target just there, that would potentially be a take profit of mine on a short position. And if you're wondering exactly how to trade, I have a full trading tutorial video where I show how I trade Bitcoin, and I'll link that video in the description down below. It will be the second link in the description, and the first link in the description down below will take you to the platform that I use to trade. But for the complete beginners out there that shouldn't really be trading, how you could actually use bearish price action to make you some money, well, you use the opportunity the bearish price action gives you, because obviously if we're looking bearish, you're going to be looking at cheaper Bitcoin prices, and obviously at cheaper Bitcoin prices, you can accumulate more Bitcoin for the dollars that you have. And then in the much longer term, obviously speaking about many years from now, I am still very bullish on Bitcoin. So all of this is really speaking about the shorter term, you know, potentially over the next few days and weeks here. Obviously this is on the daily time frame, so if we do actually come back down towards this price target here, that could potentially last a couple weeks. But once again, if we head down there and start finding supports in this region just here, then that could potentially give you a buying opportunity, just like what we saw during this area on the chart in between around June and July, when Bitcoin was hanging around that $30,000 price range just before we saw a pump to 50K. So obviously if we're looking bearish, they are the best times to accumulate Bitcoin for the longer term. Now, another indicator that the longer term subscribers would already know about, because I mentioned it quite a lot here on the channel, but for the new viewers on the channel, this is the 21-week simple moving average. And this, historically speaking, has provided huge support and resistance for the Bitcoin price, obviously depending on whether we're above or below this moving average. And right now, this 21-week simple moving average is coming in at pretty much exactly 42,000 US dollars. So this is one of the last major support levels for Bitcoin at around 42,000 before that technical price target at around 38,000. And keep in mind, the last time we broke below the 21-week moving average, we stayed pretty bearish for quite some time, as in for the next 2 months approximately. And all we have to do is zoom all the way out and take one look at Bitcoin's history just here to actually realize anytime we're below the 21-week moving average, we are looking pretty bearish for quite some time. But if we break back above the 21-week moving average, we usually stay bullish for quite some time, as we were during the 2017 bull market, for example, and then we broke below it in the beginning of 2018. That signaled the 2018 bear market. And once again, as I just mentioned, when we're above the moving average, this moving average acts as huge support for the Bitcoin price. We've seen multiple bounces along this line, but when we break below it in a bear market, for example, then this flips into major resistance for the Bitcoin price. We constantly get rejected along this level. So once once again, this is seriously an important moving average that I am paying attention to right now at around 42,000 US dollars. But something that's happening right now that is very interesting is the fact that the long positions right now are actually increasing. That means that more and more people are betting on the Bitcoin price going to the upside. So this chart, by the way, is the Bitcoin long positions on the Bitfinex exchange on the 4-hour time frame. And so just in the last 10 hours, approximately another 30 million US dollars worth of long positions have been opened. And keep in mind, this is only on that one exchange. When you're looking across all exchanges, obviously the number would be bigger. So once again, this is very interesting to see that more and more people are actually starting to flip bullish on the Bitcoin price, even though we're clearly seeing a lot of bearish signs on the chart. And this is when things get even stranger, because taking a look here, this is the Bitcoin short positions on the Bitfinex exchange on the 4-hour time frame. And obviously just recently, over the last 24 hours approximately, we've had some bearish price action. So the short positions have benefited from that bearish price action. But what we're actually seeing in the Bitcoin short positions is a decrease in the short positions. So not only are more people betting on the price going to the upside with the increase in long positions, we're also seeing less people bearish on Bitcoin with a decrease in short positions. And once again, for the beginners out there, a short position is essentially if you're betting on the price going to the downside. So as I just mentioned, with these short positions decreasing, that means a lot of people out there are flipping more bullish on Bitcoin. So this right now is actually giving us a dangerous setup, because clearly, as I showed you just earlier on the Bitcoin charts, we do have a lot of bearish signs on the bigger picture. Obviously, nothing is guaranteed in the market, so definitely make sure you're doing your own research as well. But if the Bitcoin price even just heads a little bit lower, for example, below these previous lows, then we've simply got not many people in short positions because the short positions are closing to the downside. So that means if we do see more bearish price action, we're going to see a FOMO into new short positions, which will act as extra selling pressure for Bitcoin. And looking at the Bitcoin long positions, right now they've already opened up and they are continuing to open up, meaning that if the Bitcoin price actually heads to the downside, these long positions will be forced to close their position if we head too far to the downside. And that as well will add an extra selling pressure on the Bitcoin price. So if these positions continue on the trends that they are on, and if Bitcoin continues on the trend that it is on, soon enough, we're going to see some sort of liquidation event. And at this point, it's more likely to be a long squeeze, considering the fact that the long positions are continuing to close to the upside and the short positions have just recently started closing. And for the complete beginners out there that don't know what a long squeeze is, it's basically a bearish thing for the Bitcoin price, but I recommend doing a little bit more research on the topic. I've explained it many times before in my previous Bitcoin update videos, so feel free to go back on the channel and check out some of my last update videos. And also, if you want to get extra Bitcoin updates throughout the day in real time, alongside other altcoin updates like this Cardano update, for example, I post all of this extra content completely for free over on my Twitter, and the link to my Twitter is in the description down below. And be careful, because there's actually a lot of scam profiles out there. So my only real Twitter profile is the one that's linked in the description, and it's this one here with around 27,500 followers. But anyway, that's just about everything I have to say for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got something valuable out of this video. And if you did, be sure to leave a like down below. And if you're new to the channel, you might as well subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this one. And also, for more of these epic predictions, make sure you're sharing these videos around with your friends to get your friends involved in this amazing opportunity that we're about to see. Because seriously, what's brewing on the charts right now is something that we haven't seen for a few months. So there's never been a better time to share these videos around with your friends before it's too late. And there's never been a better time to stay active in these markets so that you can take advantage of these coming opportunities. But anyway, that's about everything I have to say for this video. Once again, I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.